Hello. Yeah, look at that. The tracks to somewhere. Well, I'm trying to position this here so the sun doesn't yellow me out completely. Love the train tracks. Look at that. Yeah. It's a journey, right? It's a journey. It's a journey. Almost Shabbat shalom. Almost Shabbat shalom. Look at that. I like how there is a sign here that is blocking the sun. Otherwise, I look like this. Ah. And it kind of creates this pattern that I like. Anyway, train tracks can go to either direction, right? It can go to either direction. It can go to a positive direction. It can go to a not positive direction. But whatever direction it is, it's a choice. It's a choice, and every day is a reminder. Is a reminder that this is a choice. A choice on how. Doesn't matter what is happening, and there is a lot that is happening now. There's a lot that is happening now in Israel, and my heart is to everybody there, to my family, to my friends, to those who I know and those who I don't know that are aching and in pain. You know, there are no words to describe. There are no words to describe what is happening and how people are feeling. And almost every person that I speak to, actually every person that I speak to in Israel, there is like a feeling, a sense of despair, of just like, the end of the rope, the end of the track, the end of, and maybe it's easier for me to talk because I'm here in the States, in LA, but it is hard for me in my own way because I experience the pain, and I experience the rejection, and I experience some anti-Semitism, and it's hard for me in a different way. I can only imagine how difficult it is for everybody who I'm speaking to in Israel that is talking to me about this. It is just so for me here, when I see these train tracks, it awakens something that maybe is from a different past life. It's like that I'm always a nomad, that we're always nomads, Yes, our anthem is Hatikva, the hope. But in a way we're always nomads. And I'm trying to it is a global a community, and also personal, being a nomad, taking the train tracks to wherever. Where is our next stop? How are we going to receive the next stop? And when I'm saying the next stop, is the next stop in our life, the next stop in our presence. Do we only exist from stop to stop, or do we thrive and use each stop as a point, as a chapter in our story, as a chapter in our journey? How are we receiving everything? What do we or who do we drop off at each stop, and who do we pick up at each stop? What do we release from ourselves in each stop of the train? And what do we learn, and what do we take, and what do we embrace? Do we take the entire package when we stop at each stop, or do we just take pieces and pieces? So this is how this week, this month, this year has been for me, it's just been train stops and stops, and some of the tracks lead to a concise location, and some of the tracks are just dead end tracks. Some of the tracks are freight train tracks that carry all kind of who knows what, and some are passenger tracks. Some are tracks that don't have anything, are dead. They didn't have a train pass through them or on them for a while, and some of them are electrifying tracks. Either way, the ride is continuing. So how are you in this whole process? And so with everything that is going on in Israel, for example, and in the world, not just in Israel, but Israel is a microcosm of the world, and Israel is the macrocosm of the microcosm, the other way around too. With everything that is going, how are you being? How are you being? So every person that I spoke to in Israel has at the end of their sentence a despair. So also when I wish to have a great week, have a good week, have a good year, I get responses like, "Oh, we're not going to have any good year anymore. We have a horrible year. We have a horrible thing." And I'm like, yes, it is devastating what has happened and what is happening in Israel. And I understand that maybe it is hard to to look at something different, but we have to keep the light on. We have to keep the light on. It is hard, it is difficult. There is nobody that I know that doesn't know somebody that knows somebody that was involved in this whole massacre. So we have to keep this light on so our train and our story can continue and reverberate over generations and in our hearts and bring justice and truth to really what is. And also as we go through our pain, we're still keeping our youth, we're still keeping our livelihood, we're still keeping our light in the story. This portion, Chayei Sarah, there's a very known question about the beginning of the portion, that the way that it describes that she was 127, it's kind of like a repetitive, like an end for each section, meaning, and Sarah was 100, and she was a 20, and she was 7. Why couldn't she say 127? And what we're talking about in the Midrash and in other writings is that at 100, at the age of 100, she was as pretty as she was in 20. And in the age of 20, she was as pure as she was at the age of 7. Now, we know that the Torah is not really exalting the prettiness of the body, the beauty, so how come you're talking about that? There's a difference between pretty and beautiful. And what is being talked about is that she was beautiful inside out. That's why they also mentioned as 20. So there are like 3 stops in her life, or probably more, many more stops. But this is where we are here today, is are we going to go through our journey as 100 years old or as 20 years old? Are we going to go through the pain with excruciation, with extreme pain and devastation and letting go and saying giving up and everything? Or because of this pain, because of this problem, because of this enormous excruciating pain, because of that, we're going to get stronger. Without that, we wouldn't be as strong as we can be and as strong as we are going to be. Because of that. Let me read here. Hey, Gene, let's see. If we were to imagine life as a railroad with spirituality as the intricate tracks beneath your journey, how smoothly does your train glide when aligned with these unseen rails? And what happens when you venture off the track of your spiritual compass? Bingo! Exactly. Our journey. Like I said in the beginning, this is our journeys, our tracks. And you know how there are in the middle of when the train has to veer off to a different direction. There are, I don't know how you call them, in Hebrew I know how to call them, mesotim, but it's like levers that the tracks move so the train deviates. So do you deviate to a different direction? Do you go into a dead end? That's great. That's great. Thank you. This is how is our journey on these tracks? How much load are we carrying on our journey? Are we allowing this to be a smooth journey? Are we allowing it to be a very heavy journey, like a train that carries 20,000 boxes, carts? Sending you much love. Thank you for the support and thank you for joining. It's really how we are talking to ourselves and how we are talking in ourselves, to ourselves, the frequencies that we are emitting, the frequencies that we inhabit within ourselves. Abracadabra, we create as we speak. What frequencies am I allowing to vibrate in my head? Shabbat shalom.